Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales that we're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. Looking back, I wonder if there was ever a moment where it all started to fall apart. One single instance where I could have stopped it, where I could have changed everything. But that's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow, creeping thing, poisoning every corner of your life before you even realize it's there. For 5 years, I thought I had a perfect marriage. I built a life with a woman I adored. I worked hard, climbed my way up in my career, and made sure she never had to worry about anything. We had laughter, late-night conversations, shared dreams, and intimacy that made everything else fade away. Or at least, I thought we did. But in the end, none of it mattered. Because while I was devoted to her, she was devoted to someone else. It started subtly. Little changes that didn't seem important at first. The way she'd come home later than usual, brushing off my questions with half-hearted excuses. The way she stopped reaching for me at night. How she turned away when I kissed her. The way her phone never left her hand, always tilted just out of my sight. I noticed. Of course I noticed. But I convinced myself it was nothing. I was wrong. And by the time I realized the truth, I wasn't just going to expose her. I was going to destroy her. We used to be inseparable. In the first years of our marriage, we were a team. We shared everything. Our ambitions, our struggles, our victories. She used to listen to me talk about work, about how I fought to prove myself in a world that valued degrees over skill. She used to admire me. But then, she changed. It wasn't just the physical distance. It was the emotional wall she built between us. She started acting like I was in the way, like I was someone she tolerated rather than someone she loved. The late nights at work became more frequent. The small affectionate touches we used to share. Asterisk, asterisk, the way she'd run her fingers through my hair. The way she'd lean against me on the couch. Asterisk, asterisk, they disappeared. Then came the dismissive remarks. You wouldn't understand, she'd say whenever I asked about her work. You're being paranoid. She'd snap whenever I brought up her constant texting. And maybe the worst, the empty look in her eyes whenever I said, I love you. The warmth that used to be there was gone, replaced by something colder, something distant, something wrong. She thought I wouldn't find out. She thought she was smarter than me. I can still remember the exact moment when my world shattered, the moment when I knew. She had given me her old iPad, casually asking me to wipe it clean so she could give it to her niece. She did it without hesitation. Like she didn't even consider the possibility that I'd check it first. But I did. And what I found destroyed me. Texts, photos, videos. Her and her boss. Laughing, flirting, fucking. Months worth of messages, detailing every disgusting secret they thought they had hidden so well. I read through them all, my hands trembling, my breath shallow. And that's when I realized she had never respected me. I wasn't just her husband. I was her backup plan. It wasn't just the affair that broke me. It was the way she talked about me. The way she belittled me in those messages. He's so boring these days. Just talks about work all the time. I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending. I need someone who excites me. I wasn't just being cheated on. I was being mocked. While I was out there breaking my back to build a future for us, she was in another man's bed, laughing at me behind my back. But here's the thing about betrayal. It creates something new inside of you. Something cold. Something ruthless. And in that moment, I knew I wasn't just going to leave her. I was going to make her regret ever thinking I was weak. Revenge is best served cold. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I started planning. I documented everything. Every message, every image, every timestamp. I hired a private investigator, making sure I had irrefutable proof. Then, I started changing things at home. Little things. I stopped trying. I stopped asking where she was going, stopped reaching for her. And she noticed. Are you okay? She asked one evening, her brow furrowed. I just smiled. Yeah, just busy. And she actually looked relieved. That's when I knew. She wanted me to be passive. She wanted me to be weak. Which made what I was about to do even sweeter. The day she got served was the day her world fell apart. She was at work, standing with her colleagues, laughing like nothing was wrong. The process server walked in, a large box in his hands. Are you wife's name? He asked. She turned, her smile still in place. Yes. He set the box down. You've been served." She opened it. Inside was a cake, decorated with an edible image of her and her boss. The words iced above it read, "Here's your cake. Eat it too." Her face drained of color. The room fell deathly silent. And then the whispers started. The shock, the humiliation, the pure, unfiltered horror. She turned to me, eyes wide, breath ragged. You did this." I just smiled. "Enjoy your day." Then I walked out, and I never looked back. Humiliation is a slow, creeping poison, one that takes time to fully sink in. And my wife, the woman who had treated me like a joke, like an afterthought, was now drowning in it. She never came home that night. Instead, her mother called me, her voice tight with suppressed rage. "She's staying with me." I didn't even ask why. I knew. She couldn't face me. Not after what I had done. The day after her public disgrace, I started hearing whispers. Her so-called friends at work were already turning against her. The boss she had sacrificed our marriage for, he had already cut her loose. I knew how corporate games worked. A man like him, he wouldn't risk his reputation over some office affair. He'd throw her to the wolves to save himself. And that's exactly what happened. By the end of the week, she had been quietly transferred to another department. A demotion, hidden under the guise of restructuring. Her colleagues distanced themselves, whispers replacing greetings. She had traded everything we built for a cheap, fleeting affair. And now, she had nothing. She finally texted me. Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a long moment. Then, I locked my phone and went back to what I was doing. I wasn't going to make this easy for her. An hour later, another message. Please, I just want to explain." I laughed under my breath. Explain? What was left to explain? She had made her choices. Now, she had to live with them. The next evening, she showed up at our house. I didn't let her in. She stood outside, shivering in the cold, arms wrapped around herself. "Please," she whispered. "Just 5 minutes." I met her eyes through the glass door. And then, without a word, I turned and walked away. Let her feel it. Let her feel exactly what I felt. Her job wasn't the only thing crumbling. Her so-called friends, the ones who had encouraged her to do better than me, had already abandoned her. The minute the scandal broke, they cut ties to protect themselves. Now, she was truly alone. She sent another text. "I made a mistake." That one, I answered. "Me, yes." "You did." That was all she got. She tried calling. I let it ring. She tried coming to the house again. This time, I wasn't even there. She was drowning, and I was just watching, letting it happen. And she deserved every second of it. The next time I saw her, she looked like a shadow of the woman I once knew. Her hair was unkempt. There were dark circles under her eyes. She had lost weight. Good. She sat across from me in a cafe, wringing her hands like a child caught in a lie. She started, her voice cracking. "I don't know how I got this far. I let the silence stretch between us. Unforgiving. Unbreakable. You don't," I finally said, tilting my head. "You destroyed our marriage. You mocked me while you were screwing your boss. And now that your world is falling apart, you don't know how it got this far." Tears welled in her eyes. I felt nothing. "I was stupid," she whispered. "I let people get in my head. They made me feel like I was missing out, like I was settling." I leaned back, arms crossed. "And now," she swallowed hard. "Now, I realize I was an idiot. I lost everything. And for what? Some meaningless fling." I studied her. This wasn't guilt. This was fear. Not fear of losing me. Fear of being alone. "Please," she said, reaching across the table. "Just tell me if there's a chance. Any chance at all." I looked her dead in the eye. "No." She flinched like I had slapped her. "Please," she tried again, voice trembling. We can fix this." I stood, throwing some cash on the table. "Fix it," I scoffed. "You can't fix what's already dead." And then I walked away. For the first time in months, I felt light. Because I was finally free. She refused to accept it. She tried reaching out to my family. They shut her down. She tried begging mutual friends. They refused to help. She tried asking for another meeting. I ignored her. Then, she made her biggest mistake. She tried to manipulate me. "If we divorce, I'll get half, right?" That made me smile. Because she had no idea. The divorce proceedings began. And I had been 10 steps ahead the entire time. Before I even confronted her, I had moved my assets. Every dollar that was legally mine was placed somewhere untouchable. She thought she'd walk away with half. She was walking away with nothing. Her lawyer tried to fight it. But I had proof of her affair, proof of her financial irresponsibility, proof of her deceit. The judge saw through her. By the time it was over, she left with only what she brought into the marriage. Nothing more, nothing less. After the final ruling, she tried one last time. She showed up at my door, tears streaming down her face. "I have nothing left," she whispered. I met her gaze. Cold, unforgiving. "And whose fault is that?" She sobbed. "Please. I don't know where to go." I stepped back. And then, with the same smirk she once gave me when she thought she had won, I closed the door in her face. The day she walked out of that courtroom, she wasn't the same woman I had once known. Her confidence, her arrogance, it had all crumbled into dust. She didn't just lose the case. She lost everything. As she stumbled through the courthouse doors, I watched from a distance, arms folded, leaning casually against my car. She looked lost, like someone who had spent years climbing a ladder, only to realize too late that it was leaning against the wrong wall. Her lawyer left without a word. Even he knew she had destroyed herself. She stood there, motionless, her purse clutched in white-knuckled hands. I could see the realization hitting her. She had spent so much time trying to play the game, lying, cheating, manipulating, thinking she could control the outcome. But the house of cards had collapsed, and she was standing in the wreckage alone. I watched as she pulled out her phone, trying to call someone. Her boss, one of her friends. It didn't matter, because one by one, they were all abandoning her. Her boss had already thrown her to the wolves. His career, his marriage, his reputation, it was all more important to him than she ever was. Her so-called friends, the ones who whispered in her ear, convincing her she deserved more, they had cut ties the moment the scandal broke. Now, she was just another office gossip story, another tragic cautionary tale. I climbed into my car, started the engine, and rolled the window down just enough for my words to reach her. "See you never." She turned at the sound of my voice, her lips parting. Whether to curse me, beg me, or scream, I didn't care, because by the time she opened her mouth, I was already gone. The days that followed were eerily silent. For months, she had been a constant noise in my life. Her betrayal, her excuses, her gaslighting, her taunts. But now, she was a ghost. No texts, no calls, no unexpected visits. And at first, I wondered if she had finally given up. But then, the messages started coming in from mutual acquaintances. "Hey, I just saw her name. She looks bad." "Dude, she was at the grocery store, just staring at an empty cart. She didn't even look like she knew why she was there. She asked about you. Wanted to know if you're seeing someone." I never responded. She had made herself irrelevant to my life. But I knew exactly what was happening. She was drowning. At work, she had been pushed into a dead-end position. Her colleagues no longer trusted her. She was a pariah. Socially, she was alone. The women who had once convinced her to do better were now pretending they never knew her. Financially, she was barely hanging on. Before all of this, she had been comfortable. She never worried about money, because I had taken care of the important things, bills, investments, savings. Now, with the divorce finalized and her portion of our assets slimmed to none, she was learning the hard way how expensive it was to be independent. She had bet everything on her affair, and now she had nothing left. It was a cold Sunday morning when she showed up at my door. I hadn't seen her in weeks, and yet there she was, dressed in a coat that looked a little too thin for the weather, her hair a mess, her lips dry and cracked from the cold. I took my time opening the door. Let her wait. Let her feel it. When I finally stepped outside, I crossed my arms, staring at her in silence. She swallowed hard. I just wanted to talk. I raised an eyebrow. "Talk." She hesitated. I made a mistake." I laughed. A low, humorless sound. "Yeah, I know." She bit her lip. "I lost everything. Not my problem." Her face twisted. "Do you really hate me that much?" I exhaled through my nose, tilting my head. "Hate you?" I mused. "No, I don't hate you." She blinked, clearly not expecting that. And then, I leaned in just enough that she could hear me clearly. "I pity you." She flinched. "I pity you because you threw away a man who actually loved you. You destroyed your own life, and now you want sympathy." I scoffed. That's not how this works. Her lip trembled. I just thought maybe we could. No. I cut her off. But, no. The wind howled between us, the silence stretching so thick it felt like gravity. She wiped at her eyes, swallowing back her pride. I have nowhere to go. I stared at her, completely unmoved. And then, with the same cold smirk she used to wear when she thought she had won, I stepped back and closed the door in her face. In the weeks that followed, I finally understood what peace felt like. No more emotional weight dragging me down. No more late nights wondering where she was. No more trying to fix something that had been doomed from the start. I started going to the gym again. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but for myself. I started making new connections, not just romantically, but in every aspect of life. I started living. And her, she continued to fade. Our mutual friends stopped mentioning her. Even the gossip dried up. Because that's the thing about people like her. Once the drama fades, so does the interest. She had wanted excitement, danger, something better. And now, she had nothing. Months passed before I saw her again. It was a random evening in the city. I was leaving a restaurant with friends when I saw her, sitting alone at an outdoor cafe, staring blankly at her untouched coffee. She looked hollow, like a woman who had lost more than just a marriage, like a woman who had lost herself. She noticed me before I could turn away. Our eyes met. She didn't smile. She didn't wave. She just looked. And I gave her nothing. Not a nod. Not a smirk. Not a word. I simply turned away and kept walking. Revenge isn't about humiliation. It's not about dramatic moments or petty wins. True revenge is removal. It's living a life with a person who hurt you no longer matters. She wasn't my problem anymore. And that was my victory. Months later, I heard she moved out of the city. I didn't care where, because wherever she went, she was carrying the weight of her choices. Me, I was free. And as I walked through the doors of my new life, I realized she will regret this for the rest of her life. And I will never think about her again.